So talk about the beginning, the origins. On the website, it talks about, under the About section, is that you basically went on a year journey.
That's right.
What'd the family say? What'd family and friends say about that?
Well, I think this is this is where I was really fortunate, because I had a family that probably thought I was nuts for wanting to take a year off between high school and college, but B, was supportive. And so I was working on this small little show in high school where we'd go out and interview interesting people. People like Arnold Schwarzenegger, somehow convinced them to sit down and give us a one-on-one interview, getting advice for teens. Where do you go to college? What do you study? What do you do for internships? And the problem was, we didn't have the music, we didn't have the sound effects, we didn't have the aerial flyovers, all the establishing shots. So it was this really boring show. And as I started looking around, trying to figure out, like, how do I make Discovery Channel type productions? The answer was I couldn't, because I didn't have the budget.
Right.
And so to me, that was, a bummer, but an opportunity. I decided, hey, if I need this, other people are going to need it. And I took a year off, bought a camera bag, a little camera, Canon GL2, and a tripod, traveled around the country. So I would shoot, I'd go hit I think Seattle was my first stop, never been there. Had enough money to stay in a Best Western for 2 nights. And I would walk, the city day and night, shooting all the different establishing shots that I thought an editor would need, then cut it up and start selling it on eBay to see if there were anybody, any souls out there to buy it.
So what were you making off of that?
Not much.
But you made enough to get to the next city?
That was it. So as long as I could sell a couple tapes, I could pay for that plane ticket to the next city. If I sold a couple more tapes, I could actually stay in a hotel, right? And so sometimes I'd stay in hostels, sometimes I could do like a Best Western. And I did this about 30 times over the course of the year.
Tell us how you evolved into Videoblocks.
Yep. So I took that year off, traveled all over, and by the end realized, there's something to this. Like, I think there's actually going to be a business here. So let me go learn more about business. So I went to Babson College up in Boston, studied marketing, finance, economics, accounting, all these things. And it was kind of a cool way to do college, because as I was going through these business classes, I was applying learning directly to the company, which at the time went by Footage Firm. So I graduated in 2008 and had this decision to make, which was, do I go into the job market? I was fortunate that I had a job offer to go into investment banking. It was going to be a guaranteed 6-figure salary right out of school. So I basically had to now tell my parents, hey guys, remember when I took that year off between high school and college and you thought that was kind of crazy? Now, in the worst economy since the 2000s, I've got this guaranteed job offer, and I think I'm going to turn it down and move back into your basement and eat your food. How does that sound? And fortunately, again, I think they were like, look, it sounds crazy, but we're totally supportive. And that's the way it went. I sat down and said, okay, I want to get out of my parents' basement as quickly as possible, and I want to build an actual company, right? Something that's going to have staying power and really have affect change on society in some way. And I realized that DVD distribution was going to die eventually. People are going to want to search, preview, and download their files from a website. And I really liked the subscription-based approach that Netflix used. It was interesting. Footage Firm had been selling to the high-end guys at NBCs and ABCs, and Videoblocks still does today.
Was that all your own content at the time still?
At the time it was. Yeah, it was still stuff that I had shot. But the core focus had going back to the roots was the indie filmmakers, right? The guys who had aspirations of creating these incredible projects, but not the budgets to afford the footage. So when I thought about, what's the next phase, it was, let's try this subscription thing. And 2010, we basically beta tested videoblocks.com to our existing Footage Firm customers, and were very pleasantly, validated that people started subscribing. And so, since that time, we now have, a very robust development team. But for a while, it was 2 of us building this website. Yeah.
Virtually. So anything you want to leave people with about what's the future? What do you envision? What's the plan?
Yeah, so
the exact plan that you tell the board when you walk in there.
So I think that the plan we tell the board is the same thing we tell the employees and the same thing we tell the community, which is we want Videoblocks to become the first place a creator goes when they start a project. I want there to be a day when I can ask everybody, hey, do you have a Videoblocks subscription? And the answer is, well, of course, because I create things.
Right.
And if you create things, you've got to have a Videoblocks subscription because it gets you this unlimited library. It gets you this marketplace. By the way, we have all these new initiatives coming out soon with different content types, whether it's graphics or audio or eventually photos. Soon we're going to have a ton of really cool stuff to go with the already great library we have. So if you're a creator, you go, of course I have a Videoblocks subscription. That's the first place I go.
Right.